Episode 1 ended with Ren completely destroying the invaders, and Yuki, for a second, he thought that she was surprisingly like his sister. Alright, so we start off with Ren saying that she is going back. She tells Kyuka to keep an eye on the people that she beat up until the retrieval team arrives, and Kyuka says that she understands, and with that she just flies away in an instant. As she is flying away, Kyuka says that people tend to think of the commander's ability is to fly as she moves around like that, but that's just one part of her ability. She looks at the people that she beat down and says that they also misunderstood it and that's why they were beaten. Yuki looks at them and says that they are humans and asks if they came here to steal the peaches. Kyuka says that other countries also receive a steady supply of peaches, but she guesses that they still want more. She starts to look super serious as she says that Mato is a dangerous existence that draws out strife. The text then says that in order for Ren to interrogate the arrested assailants, the Chiefs Assembly concluded as soon as it could, and we see Konomi taking a huge breath out of relief. After that, we see Yuki and Kyuka driving around in a car, and they thanks them for driving them. Yuki says that the Chiefs Assembly ended way sooner than what he would have guessed, but Kyuka says that on the other hand, it will happen more frequently from here on out. Miyuga says that, along with that, more missions that will need the cooperation of chiefs. After that, she asks Konomi how her disciples are turning out, and she says that it's fine. After that, Miyuga scratches her jaw and says that even though they're all training under the same environment, not a single one of them is able to become as strong as their own bodies as Kyuka, and hearing that shocks Yuki for a quick second. After that, Konomi tells Kyuka how amazing she is, and that it's insane how she is able to beat a Shuki bare-handed, and asks her to please train with her one day. Kyuka just smiles and says, sure, and that she wouldn't mind it. After that, they drop off Miyuga and Konomi and continue driving. Yuki says that Miyuga showed a lot of vitality for her age. Kyuka says that she was a chief experienced in guiding the younger generations, and that she wonders if Fubuki will be taking that role going forward. After that, Yuki says that he now sees why the commander is feared, and Kyuka says that she's got her eyes on him. Yuki is super shocked, but mostly scared as he hears that, and Kyuka continues as she tells him that the commander likes animals, especially dogs. She then says that there were many other chiefs there, and asks if no one else caught his eyes. Yuki thinks for a while before saying that just some moments ago, Kyuka was held in high regard by her junior chief, and that it made him think once again about how amazing Kyuka really is. Kyuka looks caught off guard before asking if he has learned to flatter others, but Yuki tells her that he really means it. Kyuka then continues to drive before getting a smile on herself. After that, they get home, and we see Shushu, who thinks that she will go and pay Yuki's room a visit. She manages to turn herself super small, and she enters his room while it looks like he is sleeping. She thinks that her infiltration is a success, and thinks about how she will wake him up and ask him to play. But just then, something dark and super strange starts to appear. We later see that it's none other than Shikoku, who laughs to herself and says that it's just like how she thought, and that if she keep her power down, then she can go inside the barrier. She is quickly surprised, however, as she says that Yuki is already in sight. She dashes towards him and looks over him as she says that he's sleeping like a baby and that it's time to take him with her. But suddenly she gets a punch in the back of her head, and it's of course Shushu who tells her not to touch Yuki. However, we are able to see that Shikoku had something blocking the attack, and she then looks at Shushu while smirking, and she then starts to look super manic and demonic as she tells Shushu that she is just a rank and file member, and yet she dared to attack her. But suddenly something else takes her notices as a hole starts to appear under her. She tries to jump away, but falls on the ground. We then see someone in the shadows calling her a lowly trespasser, and we learn that it's the goat, Tenka, who looks super fierce. Meanwhile, Shushu tells her that she is one to talk, since she also trespassed. Anyway, Shikoku looks really shocked, but then both Shushu and Tenka, in sync, tell her that they won't let her lay a finger on Yuki. But Shikoku then tells them to wait up, and asks them to calm down. She asks them if they don't have any business with Yuki as well, and she then sits on his face. By the way, right here I want to clarify that someone asked me to cover this, alright? Anyway, Shikoku then asks if they should turn it into a competition, and that the one who tempts him the most wins, and asks how that sounds. Shushu tells them to wait until Tenka tells them that she is in. After that, both Shikoku and Tenka start to tempt Yuki. However, I think that we should swiftly skip that part, and instead go over to Shushu, who is just watching them, and when she is about to join them, she tells herself to wait. She says that this feels super odd, and that her body feels heavy. On top of that, an enemy woman touching Yuki is not something that Tenka would ever let happen. And after that, we see that the room was filled with a ton of dark smoke, which came out from Shikoku's snakes, and both Tenka and Shushu look out of it. Shikoku wonders to herself if this is working, and that this was settled surprisingly quickly because they are in a small space. After that, she orders them to come over to her, and we see both Tenka and Shushu starting to move. Shikoku smiles as she thinks that the spell will break if she makes any careless moves, and she says that she will not rush this, and instead she will wait for the moment they come close, and she then transforms her finger into a long spiky thing. But just then, as Tenka is gobbling towards her, she finally regains consciousness, and she goes to kick. Shikoku is right in her face, but Shikoku manages to slip under it. She thinks that this is just what she expected, and that against a chief a small technique wouldn't work. But just then, we see Shushu also being out of it, and coming increasingly close to Shikoku as she tells her not to use cheap tricks on her, and she punches Shikoku right the body. However, Shikoku manages to dampen the blow by taking her snakes out and protecting her. Shushu then looks extremely determined, while Shikoku just looks insane as she says with an insane and terrifying voice that she manages to land 2 blows on her and that she will not forget it. And after that, she just vanishes into thin air. After that, Yuki finally wakes up super oblivious and asks them what happened. Tenka tells him that one god of thunder snuck inside his room, and Yuki can't believe that. Tenka says that it's unforgivable, and Yuki then asks if she protected him and that he didn't notice at all, which we know. Tenka smiles and tells him that the one who did her best right away was Shushu, and that Tenka was merely the reinforcement. Yuki looks touched as he thanks Shushu, then gets a huge smile as she tells him to leave it to her since she will always protect him. However, inside her head she thinks that she will sneak in when the next opportunity comes. After that, we see Yuki being a bit uncomfortable as he has moved his bed into their room. Kyuka says that they will all sleep together until the barrier is fortified. Nei says that this is super fun and that it's like she is on a trip. After that, we move towards Ren, who thinks that aside from strengthening the barrier in response to an enemy invasion, having a god come to his room is a really intriguing incident. She then looks closely at Yuki and says that something everyone wants to have that makes her want to take it for herself. After that, we get back to them sleeping, and we see Yuki waking up, but he looks confused at first before he sees Nei lying right beside him. He looks over at her bed and thinks that she must have come over to his futon while sleeping. Yuki is about to tell her, but that's when she wraps herself around him in a super tight grip. Yuki is even unable to speak and just thinks to herself, what is going on? After that, we move to the next day, where we see Nei being super embarrassed, as she says that she is super sorry and that she didn't notice since she was so sleepy. Yuki tells her that it's the thunder gods who are to blame for this, and that Nei shouldn't mind it. Kyuka then speaks up and says that they will be investigating the dorm's surroundings today, telling Nei that she will be using her ability lending, and she looks more than ready as she says that she will gladly do it. After that, Yuki goes to Nei and uses his ability with her. He transforms with no problem, and Kyuka tells them that looking for enemies is important, but also look for anything suspicious while they are doing it, like accursed patterns or something similar. As after all, an enemy already found its way inside, so there could be something in the vicinity of the dorm. However, Yuki then says that everything looks fine, and that there doesn't seem to be anything strange under the surface or behind the rocks. Kyuka says that she understands, and Nei says that it's great before she goes to head pat Yuki for his reward. Kyuka then speaks up and says that they have once again checked, and there is nothing around, which is good. But Yuki then speaks up and says that he felt like there was someone watching them from above. And Kyuka looks surprised before all 3 of them looks up, and just then something starts to shine, and then suddenly, Ren comes rushing down to them. She says that she saw how he changed forms with Nei, and Kyuka is shocked to see her here. Ren tells Kyuka that she is extending the scope of her ability well, and that someone else other than her used slave, asking what conditions there are to it. Kyuka looks intense as she says that they are still in the middle of experimenting how to extend it, so there's nothing set in stone. Ren tells her that she doesn't mind, and just to say it, and she then tells Nei that she can go back to her regular activities, and Nei agrees. After that, Kyuka was forced to explain how her ability slave worked, and Ren says that it's an interesting addition to it, and she says that she also wants to try. However, Kyuka says that lending takes a great toll on her, and that she can't do it multiple times in succession, which makes Ren look disappointed, but she then says with a smug look that she can make him his slave, and that it's good news. But this makes Kyuka extremely mad, as she screams that Yuki is her slave, and now I'm really asking myself what it is that I'm reading. Anyway, the 2 of them then have a stare of before Ren starts to laugh, and says that until next time, and that she will be going back to their world for work for a while, and she flies away. After that, Kyuka grabs Yuki and starts to hug him, which leaves him in awe, but Kyuka then tells him that just before the assembly, she warned him about making eye contact with Ren. But still he did it. And we can now see that she is holding on to Yuki super tightly, to the point that it hurts. Kyuka tells him that he immediately looked at her, and that she really did take an interest in him. Yuki apologizes, and says that he didn't expect her to be looking at him. Kyuka tells him that it's not the only reason she set her eyes on him, but still she will have to punish him because of that. Yuki then falls to the ground, and Kyuka says that she should have not warned Yuki, but instead ordered at him. Yuki says that he will watch out, but asks Kyuka what happens when Ren sets her eyes on someone. Kyuka tells him that she will make excuses for her to play with them like they are her toy, explaining that Belle from the 3rd unit is a good example. After that, she thinks that they are sure to work together with a lot of other chiefs going forward, and if lending becomes known before that happens, then they might have some hectic days ahead of them. After that, we see the 6th unit arriving at the 7th unit base. Yuki says that he needs to make enough for 10 people. Kyuka tells him to get the baths ready as well, and that a 3-unit joint training is sure to make them work a lot. We then see Tenka, who looks ecstatic as she says that she's looking forward to Yuki's cooking. Yuki looks proud as he says that they can leave the housework to him. Tenka has a huge smile as she then says that she will earn their money. But before they can talk anymore, Kyuka screams that they are here. Himari says that their way of moving is as over the top as always, and Yachiho says that the real surprise is how there have been no accidents involving it. And Yuki just looks super lost as he sees a whole tornado starting to come down, and he screams that it's coming closer. But Kyuka looks calm as she just says that it's the 5th unit, and we then spot them arriving as the chief Yakumo greets them. Yuki thinks that it's really the chief, and that they chose to come to the 7th unit because they had that much mobility. After that, we get introduced to the vice chief who is called Kaiko, and just a normal member who is called Saki. Kaiko tells them that they will do their best to make this joint training a win-win for them all. Anyway, we then get to Yakumo, who right away grabs a hold of Tenka and Kyuka, but they quickly reject her as they try to separate from her. And we then see Yuki looking at them as he says that the 3 chiefs lined up like that look really picturesque. After that, however, Kyuka orders to Yuki to get back to his duties, but Yakumo asks if she isn't using her ability, and Kyuka tells her that she will be using it plenty in the future. After that, Himari storms to Saki and says that she has a lot of questions about how to use Bang Bang, and then Kyuka screams at them that the training has officially started and not to slack off. After that, we see them training wildly, but there isn't too much to really commentate over it. But we then get to after dinner time where Yuki is picking away the leftovers when suddenly someone calls for him, and it's none other than Yakumo who has been tied up. She tells Yuki that it was Kyuka and Tenka who did it, but that there's a reason for it. Yuki says that she used her attack on the other, so she was put on isolation. Yakumo just tells him to listen, and that Kyuka threatened her, saying that she would be angry if Yakumo used her ability to free herself, so she asks Yuki if he can release her. Yuki thinks about it, but says that he is sorry, and that Kyuka ordered him not to release her. Yakumo says that he is really devoted before saying that she can still get out of these ropes without her ability, and she then gets out. Meanwhile, Yuki questions what she really is. After that, she asks if they shouldn't have a chat together.